Eustace Conway has built his entire life around rejecting modern comfort in favor of raw survival, self-reliance, and a deep spiritual connection with nature. As one of the most recognizable faces on Mountain Men, he has long been portrayed as unshakable in his beliefs, unyielding, disciplined, and utterly convinced that humanity has lost its way. Yet, according to those close to him, one discovery deep within a remote cave shook that certainty to its core. What Eustace found written on the cave walls didn't just surprise him. It forced him to question ideas he had held sacred for decades. The cave itself was discovered during one of Eustace's extended solo treks, the kind of journey he often undertakes to test endurance and solitude. Hidden far from marked trails, the cave showed signs of having sheltered humans long before modern civilization reached the region. For Eustace, who believed deeply in living as close as possible to the natural order, such places held spiritual weight. Caves, in his worldview, were symbols of primal humanity, spaces where humans existed without domination, hierarchy, or excess. What he didn't expect were the markings. Etched deliberately into stone were symbols, dates, and fragments of written language spanning different eras. Some messages spoke of fear, others of ownership, and some hinted at conflict and control. Rather than finding pure expressions of harmony with nature, Eustace was confronted with evidence that even ancient humans carried the same impulses he often criticized in modern society: power, possession, and division. This discovery cut deep. Eustace had long believed that humanity's corruption began with industrialization and modern systems, that earlier societies lived in balance and moral clarity. The cave walls told a different story. They suggested that struggle, domination, and fear were not modern inventions, but deeply rooted human traits. For someone who structured his entire philosophy around the idea that returning to primitive living could restore purity, this realization was deeply unsettling. According to those who later spoke with him, Eustace spent hours sitting in silence inside the cave, rereading the markings by firelight. He reportedly felt a rare sense of doubt, not about survival skills or nature, but about human nature itself. If the same flaws existed thousands of years ago, then escaping modern life might not be the solution he believed it to be. The problem, he began to suspect, wasn't society alone. It was something intrinsic to humanity. This moment marked a subtle but profound shift. While Eustace didn't abandon his lifestyle, his rigidity softened. He became less absolutist in conversations, more reflective about why he lived the way he did. Instead of framing modern society as purely corrupted, he began speaking about responsibility, awareness, and personal choice. Survival, to him, became less about rejecting the world and more about understanding oneself within it. The cave also altered how he viewed isolation. Eustace had always believed solitude purified the soul. But the writings suggested that isolation hadn't erased human conflict, it had simply preserved it in silence. This forced him to reconsider his belief that withdrawing from society automatically led to moral clarity. The walls were proof that humans carry their inner struggles wherever they go, whether into cities or caves. On Mountain Men, viewers noticed subtle changes afterward. Eustace spoke less in absolutes, showed more patience with others, and acknowledged complexity where once there had been certainty. The man who once preached total rejection of modern life now emphasized intentional living, choosing simplicity not because the past was perfect, but because awareness mattered. What Eustace Conway found on those cave walls didn't destroy his belief system, it matured it. It replaced idealism with humility and certainty with curiosity. For a man known for unwavering conviction, that internal shift was more dramatic than any survival challenge he had ever faced.